feels like we've waited a while to do this, actually.
It does,
It's
yeah.
come around quick, though.
It was a while.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ali. I really appreciate you coming out to do this podcast. I've been very excited. I feel like we should have just hit record the last time we chatted, and we could have talked for ages.
We did.
The more we talked, the more I found out, the more I wanted to carry on talking.
Yeah.
But for everyone that doesn't know yourself yet, if you could just, I guess, give a breakdown of who you are and what you do. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you.
So my name is Alison Rashley, and my very long title is the Executive Artistic Director of the Television Workshop. It's a title that's bigger than me. But basically, the Television Workshop is a place that introduces young people, young working class people, to the television industry and trains them in acting for television. And then some of them go on to great success in the industry, and some of them go on to great success in other things. But hopefully we teach them lots of life skills along the way.
Let's do it. We're back.
Okay.
So, yeah, well, thank you, Ali. Again, really appreciate you coming out. So, for me, I think I've heard it, but I could never get bored of listening to it again and again and again. Could you please tell everybody how you got into acting, your story, and then do kind of like a timeline to present? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So the Television Workshop was set up in 1983, and it was sponsored at the time by Central Television. And the whole reason that it was set up was to get working class kids and northern accents on the television, because at the time it would be all kids from London stage schools. So there was this brilliant producer called Lewis Rudd, and he got the funding to set it up, and they'd open the studios in Nottingham. And so it came to Nottingham, and they wanted Nottingham kids with Nottingham accents on. I did an audition for it when it first opened, but the woman that ran it came to see the school play that I was in, where I played like an old lady. And she came behind afterwards and said, would you come and audition for the Television Workshop? So I went along and I auditioned, and they gave me a place straight away. So I joined about 12 weeks in. And that was because one of the lads that had got one of the original places, when he wasn't on the television the first week, he quit. So thanks to him, I then joined and got on the television, ironically. So, he should have stuck it out, bless him. So from the age of 13, I was on the telly all the time and doing my schooling. And it was great fun. It wasn't something I ever expected to do. It wasn't something I particularly set my heart on doing. I just liked doing school plays. But, went along there, and it changed my life, really.
No way. So you actually were acting yourself and doing school. How was it to balance school, and obviously you've gone very fast-tracked, I guess, to the spotlight. I guess, was it difficult to balance the school, or did they really help you manage that, or did you not really notice it, or how was that?
Sometimes it was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It would be difficult just because it was so new and so unexpected. Even when they set the group up, they didn't know the very immediate success it would have. So it was tough when you went back to school, because your friends would be a little bit different with you, and you felt exactly the same. So there was some adjusting there. Balancing your schoolwork can be tough, because you do long days on set. They're really long days, and you had to learn your lines as well as keep up with your schoolwork. You do tutoring on set, so you do a minimum of 3 hours of tutoring a day, but that's very different to being in a school environment and just the work pressure that you're under. But all of that has proven to be hugely helpful now. I run the group because I fully understand what I'm asking of those kids. So I will consider now, not only are the kids talented enough, but are they ready to cope with that? Because it is a lot to cope with, both socially and work-wise. It's a lot to cope with, and your schooling is incredibly important. So I got through it. I think I probably did about the same as I would have done had I been at school all the time, and possibly a little bit better, because the tutoring is one-to-one and much more focused, whereas in a classroom I could easily be distracted.
Yeah.
So I certainly don't think I did any worse because of it, but it does take some adapting to. But I wouldn't change anything.
Amazing. So listening to yourself and previous conversations that we've had, for me, a big question I'd like to ask you, or re-ask you, is how you could have done what you do still do, but so many different things. How did you come full circle and make the decision to get so back involved? Because, you know, there's different ways to get involved and support and this, that and the other. And obviously now you run the company, etc., and took on this big role and everything else. Obviously, I know you're passionate about it. But why is this mission so important? That what it does and how it reverberates into the local community, but also nationally and internationally, would you say?
I think I decided that acting wasn't for me, but I didn't know what was, because that's all I'd ever known. So I stopped when I was 23 and went and did normal jobs, what I perceived to be normal jobs. So I went and worked in an office, had no idea that they expected you to work when you got there, because I was used to just pretending. So it was a terrible shock to my system when they actually wanted me to do some work. I thought I'd just wander around looking good. But I am still in touch with the people from that office, bizarrely, which is really lovely. And then I went and did nursing for a while. And I realised that I did want to work in this industry, but not as an actor. So I went back to volunteer at workshop, which was lovely. And then I worked for 10 years as the assistant to the leader. That would be in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s. Did 10 years as the assistant leader. Went away and set my own company up because I had a son and I wanted to look after him. So I went away and set my own company up, and then came back in 2019, I think. I just got asked by the leader at the time if I'd go and direct a play. So I did. Thoroughly enjoyed being back, but was balancing it with my own business and things. And then that leader left, and somebody on the board who was my school friend, would you believe, and is now on the board and an Emmy and BAFTA-winning director, said, "What do you think about running it?" And I just said, "No way, absolutely not. That is way too big a job for anybody." But I went away on holiday and I was thinking about it, and it is such a strange job. There are, what the skill list would be to do this job is so complex, because you need to be able to teach, you need to love kids, but you need to understand what the workshop is and what it means to young people, and understand that the lives it has changed, not all because they've gone into the industry, but just because they've given you somewhere where you feel like you belong. And that's incredibly important. So when I thought about that and thought about the possibility of it maybe even going under, I just thought, for all that, I'm a postman's daughter, and a very proud postman's daughter, but for all the other postman's kids out there that would never think that they could be on the telly or work in the industry in any way, or any creative industry, I just think it mattered. So it was almost like thinking, okay, I'll take a turn at steering the ship for a little while. I've benefited from this place immeasurably, so let's take a turn and see what I can do with it for a little while. And I'm bizarrely glad I did now. There are not all days when I feel that way, but I'm really proud to be able to run it for a little while, and very honoured.
And just to be clear, and what I didn't realise as well, and definitely your website doesn't scream it either. If in a very positive way, I wouldn't presume it was a charity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because, and just to be clear for those that don't know, we're talking like everyone's local, but for those that may not be local, you're based in Nottingham.
Yeah.
You know, you focus on attracting people from disadvantaged backgrounds to get into media.
Yeah.
And I say media very consciously because what was amazing sitting next to you, you were like, what if you want to be a writer? What if you want to be in production, lighting, this, that, and there's so many jobs that you can do that this can help you be informed about that you know, and your team, you support the children in doing. So I guess another question is like, how would you say this charity affects the lives of children, and what have the children gone on to do? As well as that, I'm just going to supplement it if I may. There's a big thing about belonging at the moment and how it affects children in the community and outcomes. And this is another avenue, isn't it, that not many people think have open to them. And I know you're a big proponent for that. So how do you think it will affect more children having this option open to them, and not just about acting, is it? Do you know what I mean? So what are the kind of jobs they could do, and what kind of difference do you think this could make if more children could be reached and brought into the fold, even though I know you're not short of children who want to join?
Oh, we're not. No, we're not. I think, like, the best way to answer that is if I just think who we've got out there now.
Yeah.
So there's a play about to open in the West End that is written by an ex-workshopper and will star 2 ex-workshoppers. We have... there's a film being made at the moment that's written and directed by one of the board and has got 3 of our students in it. There is a series that's just been made that has been directed by a workshopper and is being edited by a workshopper. In the series Sherwood, in the first episode of the second series, there were 13 of our alumni playing parents and playing children. So the effect we have is so far-reaching. We've got, I think we've won 14 BAFTAs, 3 Emmys. We've had 2 Oscar nominations, or 3, maybe 3 Oscar nominations. So this is successful. This is it was a small idea, and what we've achieved has exceeded everything anybody ever thought that we could achieve. But that's the shiny bit of it. The important bit of it is that young people come along to us. They do find a place that they belong, where there's no judgment and everybody's there on their talent. It's not about money. It's not about what background you come from. It's about how talented you are. The fees are kept incredibly low to make sure that that is the case. So it's £45 a month to attend, so cheaper than even football that's sponsored by the FA. And if you can't afford those fees, there's a place for you anyway. We don't even ask if you can afford the fees before we offer you your place.
Do you mind if I jump in?
Go for it.
And I'm speechless every time you say that, and how amazing a company you are to do that. You have a backlog, people queuing up because of the success of you and your team to help people get into media, to act, and to go on to do amazing things. But you keep it equal for everybody.
Absolutely.
You audition, and then we pick from the auditions who's going to get this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah? Blindly. Not based on money, not
No.
based on anything apart from talent. The reason why I wanted to reinforce that is because when the penny dropped to me, it was like, you could charge exorbitant fees and only, with the name...
We could.
Names that you have worked with, or no, not even worked with, created, through this amazing workshop, and your talented team can produce so many gifted, or bring the gifts of people out, should I say. But you don't.
No.
You decide... if you want to, if they're good enough, no, if they're showing promise, yes, you deserve an opportunity, just A and B, and then you decide the money after.
Yeah.
And if you could just walk everybody through at this point, if that's okay, I had to interject just in case anyone really didn't miss that. I really want to emphasise that you're a charity and you don't pick based on money.
No.
It's not a after-school club where rich children, it's great that they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That go and get paid, pay massive fees because it's got a name on there. You know what I mean? It's based on merit.
Yes.
And then money comes after.
Yeah.
And that's what you and your team are constantly working hard to do.
Yeah.
So how is this amazing company, BAFTAs, Oscars, everything else in between and beyond, how is it funded then? If, say, you've got 50 children, let's say you've got, how many children do you have audition? How many children go through a successful, and then how is it funded? So people, I bet you, they do not know.
No. So we teach 260 kids at any one time. We audition about 500 to 600 every year for about 20 places every year. That depends. It varies on who's moving up into a different age group, or who's leaving us to go to drama school, or so that does vary. But it's around 20 places each year, and it is funded by the £45 a month. So the kids come once a week for 90 minutes every week, and pay £45 a month for that. And that's how it's funded. We get no arts funding at all. No council funding, no government funding at all. It's funded by that. And then by fundraising. So constantly out there looking for... we have some amazing alumni that haven't necessarily gone into this industry. We've got... there's one chap who's done very well in the building world, but he sponsors a bursary every year because he says the reason he can get up and talk to a room full of builders and make money is because of what we taught him. And we've got lots of people like that. We've got solicitors that came through the group and will credit what the group taught them about when to talk and when to listen and how to understand people, and will pay bursaries. So we're incredibly fortunate in that way. Some of our famous alumni also support bursaries, because those bursary places are so important. Because if we lose that, we lose our ethos. And our ethos was always that the doors are open to everybody, regardless of background or whether or not you can pay the fees. For over 20 years, we were funded completely, so by ITV and then by ITV and BBC. But sadly, that's all gone. No one can afford to do that anymore, which is tragic.
Yeah.
Because there are so many other places where... I always use the FA as an example, where they use grassroots football. So there's money coming from Liverpool and Nottingham Forest that's going right into the bottom and finding those kids that are playing football on the street. I think there should be something similar for the world that I work in, because there are as many talented young actors that just don't even know they can do it, let alone know that they could do it as a living, as there are young footballers that want to have a go. And it seems tragic to me that there isn't something like that in place, and where, we keep trying to put ideas out there and fight for that, so that it isn't just for the workshop in Nottingham, but there could be workshops in Liverpool and in Sheffield and in all these cities, Warrington, all these cities where there is no doubt huge hidden talent. But kids don't think the opportunity's there for them. Nobody's taught that the opportunity is there for them, and yet our industry is one of the biggest grossing industries in the UK. So the jobs are there. They absolutely are there. But of course, and understandably, all of our parents are going, oh, no, that's not realistic. It is realistic, not for everybody. And we are certainly not saying at the workshop, you are all going to become successful actors. It's really important that we don't say that, and that we're mindful about the promises we're making. But what we do say is everything you learn here will pay off and feed into your adult life and feed into wherever you go and whatever you do. And that is as important as those that go on to be, famous television faces.
And because you take part in the workshop, I'm trying to say the question the right way. That's why I paused. I didn't just want to knee-jerk say it. I think there's different metrics for success as well. Yeah. Like you've just mentioned, there's a builder and a solicitor. Let's take those two examples.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but they came through the workshop.
Absolutely.
They more than likely made lifelong friends. They had something to do in their spare time around school as well, which was constructive and positive,
Yes.
and surrounded by, role models
Yes.
as well. And it also gave them skills which served them through the rest of their lives and continue to.
Yeah.
So it's a positive reverberation for them.
Yes.
You don't have to become an actor. And I think maybe, like you've just said, it's translating that to parents as well.
Yes. Really important.
Yeah. And so how important is it to keep that door open for people from backgrounds which wouldn't consider doing this? Because obviously it's not just about coming out and you're going to be on the telly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And having that opportunity
Yeah.
to be a part of your community in a different way. And, not everybody wants to go and play badminton or, football or netball. You don't do these things because you think some people do actually, but
Yeah.
you're gonna come out being a footballer at the end. You do it to make a lifelong bond with a group of people with a similar interest.
Yeah.
And why should this, in that vein as well, you've got different portions of different children, be the same? Do you know what I mean? You're a part of the community and you're doing something and you're learning skills at the same time, which will carry you through. Okay, so the other thing I would say is economy-wise, just to glance over it, you've mentioned it. It's crazy to me that an industry which brings in so much money, let's talk about the economics of it for the country, is so little funded in the grassroots.
Yeah.
I don't follow the news massively, but schools are cutting drama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How important is the arts, and what is your opinion if we funded the arts more grassroots? I know you've mentioned it a little bit, and it could help to grow the economy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And, in many ways. And
I think, first of all, drama needs to go back into schools. That is essential. And the reason that's essential is because we're seeing the effect that a mental health crisis is having on young people. And the one subject that could really help with that and really support is drama. In a lesson where you talk about your feelings and emotions and you learn about picking up on physical cues from other people. You could do a lesson about bullying and dealing with bullying. It's so important when schools are having to bring people in to deal with young people with so many different issues, and they've taken away the one subject that will really help with that. And then on top of that, the way we see young people sharing their lives on social media without knowing the dangers of what they're doing. But there are also many positives from that as well. But again, this is something, we live in a very different world now, but we live in a world where we are all very eager to be so front-facing and point our cameras at everything and share everything. And there's a subject that could tackle that, the pros and the cons of that, how to use that effectively. And it's a subject that's disappeared. So first of all, we need it back in schools. And there are people that I'm working with that are working very hard to try and do that and recognise that by not teaching it in schools, we are saying to young people, this is not open to you. This is not a possibility. No one's going to stop kids playing football, and they're certainly not all going to be Premiership footballers, but not for a minute are we going to say, you know what, let's not do football anymore because it's unrealistic. And yet somehow that was okay with the arts. We could be producing writers, directors, editors, script supervisors, sound recorders. The jobs are endless in the industry. But we're literally saying to young people, but that's not open to you. And that is such a shame. We need to sort that out. So we need to sort it out back in the school system. We will, at workshop, it's well known, it's well advertised, but the middle class parents will find us. Of course they will. They know how to look on the internet. What is there for my child in and around Nottingham? Up will pop. Their kids will be coming to audition. And there are places for those kids. That's really important to know. It's open to all. But there are some kids that will never find us. And there are some kids that just won't even know or believe that acting is even a possibility. So it's our job to go and find them. So in the last couple of years, we've reached out to both of the councils in Nottingham to reach out to looked after kids. And I think we've got 4 or 5. I'm looking at somebody in the room that's helping me here. I think we've got 4 or 5 full-time members now that are looked after. One of whom has just been with me for a week filming on a feature film. Has only been with us a year. Has a great big role in a feature film. And the difference it's made to that young man and the confidence it's given him, but the appreciation he shows for the opportunity he's been given and what he's learnt, the life skills he's learnt in the last couple of weeks about disappointment and rejection when you don't get the part, about how to handle himself on a set full of adults and how to cope. And when he finished filming, the director actually contacted me at the weekend to say how incredibly impressed they were with not only his performance, but his conduct. Yep. Now, there is a kid that could have got completely lost in the system, and he's found somewhere where nobody cares where he comes from, nobody judges what he wears. He belongs, and he is succeeding on his talent. And that's why the workshop's so important for people like him.
I can see why you're passionate about it.
I
am. And it is important as well for me just to stress, in my opinion, this should be expanded.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It should be expanded. That, you know, we could sit here for many, many minutes. I wish we could, but you could reel off so many anecdotes of times where children have changed their lives. Yeah. And, you know, just confidence alone. The benefits of growing in confidence cannot be understated. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Can you walk us through anyone that people may know that have come through the workshop? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm rubbish with stuff like that, but okay. You know, you may know some people. Well, you know, obviously do.
Michael Socker, who came through the workshop, he was recently he played the lead in the Gallows Pole, which was a Shane Meadows series, but he will be all over your screens next year as well because he has been shooting back to back. Still a great supporter of the group as well. So whenever I ring Michael, he will pick the phone up and he is there to help us. And when it was our 40th celebrations recently, I asked him if he'd come and speak with me because it should come from their mouths and not mine. And Michael stood up and said that if it wasn't for the workshop, he'd be in prison. And the audience laughed. And Michael said, "I'm not joking."
Wow.
And he meant it. He absolutely meant it. He would have got himself into the sort of daft trouble that spirals and then you can't get yourself out of it. And you know, your life path is sorted for a couple of mistakes you make when you're young. And because he found the workshop and he found somewhere that he loved doing something and nobody was judging him about what he was doing, and he found somewhere he belonged, and that's been absolutely life-changing for him. And then Bella Ramsey. So Bella is in The Last of Us and Game of Thrones and, you know, probably one of the most famous faces out there at the moment. And Bella is neurodiverse and found at the workshop that it didn't matter. It didn't matter at the workshop. There was no judgment. We are incredibly inclusive in everything we do. We will find a way round for you. So again, Bella has been able to navigate their journey into adulthood and into this incredible world, which may have been overwhelming for them had they not had that grounding and support at workshop first. So Bella, who spends months of the year out in Canada shooting with incredibly famous people, still attends sessions and will travel back to attend sessions because they understand how important that training and that grounding is, but also how lovely it is to go back and just be treated like everybody else. So when Bella comes to sessions, nobody bats an eyelid. I'm sure other people do, but in the session, it's just, oh, you know, Bella's here this week, great. no, it just doesn't make a difference. And then they also recently, we run a biannual football tournament.
Okay.
Not obvious, but we do. And Bella flew in from Canada to play in the football tournament because it raises money for a bursary.
Wow.
Now, we didn't let anybody know that Bella was going to be in that football tournament because it would have got attention for all the wrong reasons. And Bella just wanted to play in the football tournament. But they had literally flown in from Canada that morning and turned up to play five-a-side in a tournament for a tiny trophy in Arnold. so that we could raise money for a bursary. And that, to me, that's a really important demonstration of what workshop is. It's so grounding. Yeah. We're not interested in how famous you get, but we are interested in how you represent us.
That is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how you carry yourself moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are out there walking the walk for everyone that comes behind you. We call it holding the door open. Mm-hmm. Please hold the door open for those coming behind you, because it's so important that you do that.
I mean, you've just hit me hard there. What about the other things that you do as well? I mean, you just reeled off loads of stuff when we last sat here together in this room, should I say. You've took part in yourself and in things like, is it Adolescence?
I did.
Before we jump into it a bit, what is your thoughts on the impact like Adolescence has had on the nation, in your opinion?
I'm incredibly proud to have been part of it, but it was so important, what they did, what they saw as writers, a story that's so needed to be told, because I've got a 20-year-old son, so I've gone through those years of during COVID, so particularly tough years of them being shut in their bedroom and on a PlayStation or on their phone, and it mattered. You need to know, and that's not invading their privacy. You can give them privacy, but you need to be aware of the stuff that's out there. It's really, really important. And the important story that Adolescence told, and the wonder of the casting, was that kid was like any kid. And that was the importance of how that story was told. He was every kid and any kid, and every parent at home could watch that and think, that could be my son, and that could be my daughter. So the conversation it started, hopefully, will go on to make parents aware of how much it matters that you are tech savvy, or tech savvy enough to know what's going on, what's out there, and to talk to your kids. Because it can be tough talking to them. They hit 14, they go upstairs, they come back when they're 19, talking to you. So it is important that you sit them down and you have conversations with them, and that you know how to navigate that. But again, that's something that the workshop's amazing at. Our 14-year-olds are turning up every week and talking to us. Yeah. And so outlets like that for young people are, get your kids to go and try stuff. Get your kids to have a go. Yeah. Because every kid will find something they're passionate about. There'll be something out there for them. And it does take a parent to encourage them through the door sometimes, and make them feel brave enough to do it.
And the other thing that you've not mentioned, because you are extremely humble, is that you helped train, correct me if I'm wrong, but you helped train the children from Adolescence?
I was the acting coach on Adolescence, yeah.
So it just seems crazy that you sort of be. I just love how, when I speak to somebody like yourself, you're so passionate about what you do, and you're very different to what I expected.
Okay.
In a very positive way. Do you know what I mean? Good. At the core of what you do, you're child-focused.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? It's all about the children and how we can improve their lives and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Not shiny objects and stuff. No. But the reason why I mention it is because the big point I wanted to make, and I've written it down, is that this child that we all felt, what I did anyway, and I feel like it started the conversation, like you say, could be anyone's child, acted so well and emotionally. I mean, I don't mind throwing my hands up. I cried 3 times in Adolescence, 3 times. Like and me and my partner both cried 3 times, and it was uncontrollable. We couldn't fight it. We felt it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anger, upsetness, and there's loads of emotions. That, we won't go into it, but I'm sure a lot of people did as well. But that child started from 0, not acting before, was cast because of they wanted to depict someone close to the bone and was like anyone's child.
Yeah.
But through your expertise, you helped support this child act like he did. Do you know what I mean?
There's some important things to say there where, the press story isn't quite as accurate as the real one because it's about a story.
Yeah.
Firstly, he had been somewhere before.
Oh, okay.
So he'd been somewhere called Drama Mob.
Oh, okay.
And I think they're based in Warrington. They're based up north somewhere. Very similar to Workshop. Very similar to Workshop.
Okay.
So first of all, that place needs credit because he was, and he was phenomenal. Second thing that's really important that I tell you is I didn't coach him. Nobody did.
What?
There was no coaching at all for Owen because he had no time for any coaching.
He didn't have any coaching?
No coaching whatsoever. No, he had no time. So again, really important kudos to the casting director, Shaheen Baig. You'll see Shaheen's name on everything. She's a genius, an absolute genius in not only spotting the kids with the talent, but the kids that she knows will be able to cope with it. So that's really important.
Okay.
I coached all of the others.